My husband of 8 years, I just found out is a dirty dog. For 3 long years, he's been doing tax fraud behind my back with his work colleague, this girl named Angelica. And if you're wondering, did they have an affair? Oh, I'm just getting started. This is an insane story. I have every single update, and you're about to find out exactly what my husband did and why I'm calling the cops on him. I guess it started with the thank you card. It was baby blue with little cartoon clouds on it. The kind you find in the clearance section at CVS. Inside, in this perfect cursive handwriting, it said, "Thank you for sharing Larry during tax season. I know how hard it must be when work keeps him away. You're such an understanding wife, love Angelica." I remember standing in my driveway holding that card, thinking she was being passive-aggressive, like who sends thank you cards to their coworker's spouse? Larry is an accountant at this mid-sized firm downtown, and yeah, tax season is brutal. He's been working until midnight most nights since February, coming home smelling like other people's receipts and gas station sandwiches. Angelica was his work wife. You know how it is. Every office has those pairs. She'd been at the firm for like 7 years, always sent cookies at Christmas, and remembered our kids' birthdays. I actually liked her, which makes me feel so stupid. I showed Larry the card that night, and he was eating leftover Panda Express straight from the container. Did you know if you go there at right before close around 9 p.m., they give you double the amount of food? Anyways, his tie was loose, and he was looking right behind the eyes like he was always doing this during tax season. That's nice of her, he said. Didn't even look up from his orange chicken. Kind of weird though, right? Thanking me for sharing you. He shrugged and said she's like that, overly grateful about everything. I should have known. Gosh, I should have known. But I just laughed and stuck the card on the fridge with a magnet shaped like a taco, right between Joel's honor roll certificate and Mary's drawing of a dinosaur eating the moon. 3 weeks passed, normal weeks. Larry working late, me managing the children's school stuff, softball practice, Mary's therapy appointments, and my mother kept asking when we were planning our summer vacay. I kept saying, after tax season, everything would just go back to normal. Then Agent Lloyd Garrison, and I say his full name because it's important, he showed up at my door. I'll never forget it. It was a Tuesday. I remember this because I was sorting through my Aldi bags, right there on my counter, trying to figure out what to make for dinner with ground turkey, expired yogurt, and a concerning amount of string cheese. The doorbell rang and I thought it was another Amazon package. I've been ordering those meal prep containers in bulk, trying to get my life together, and they were on sale. Sue me, but it was this guy in a suit. It wasn't like a nice suit, something that screams government employee. He had a badge and this folder thick as a phone book. Miss Novick, I'm Agent Garrison with the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. I do need to speak to you about your tax returns, ma'am. My first thought was that we messed up something years back, like maybe Larry forgot to report some freelance income or something. I let him in, offered him water in a Halloween mug because all of our regular cups were dirty. He sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I'm typing this right now, and he opened up the folders. Ma'am, are you aware that your husband's filing joint tax returns with another woman? The words didn't make sense, like when someone speaks to you right when you wake up and your brain seriously cannot process the language yet. I'm sorry, what? He pulled out copies of tax returns. They were official IRS documents, and there it was, Larry Novak and Angelica Novak. Married, filing jointly with her address, some apartment in Riverside. I'd never heard of it. Our kids were even listed as dependents. My kids, my car. The Honda, with a dent from the back end that I'd backed into the Target cart return, listed as hers for some tax credit. This has to be a mistake, I said. This is a mistake. But my voice sounded weird, like it was far away, like I was listening to someone else talk. Agent Garrison said Lloyd, he said to call him Lloyd. He had this look on his face, sympathetic but tired, like a doctor who's delivered too much bad news in his days. I'm afraid it's no mistake, Miss Novak. They've been filing this for 3 years. IRS has already tried contacting your husband. 3 years? 3 years of working late, 3 years of tax season is just brutal. It's brutal. 3 years of me bringing him dinner to the office, seeing her there at her desk, waving cheerfully while probably thinking about how she claimed my children on her taxes? I don't understand. We file jointly. Larry does our taxes. I sign them. Lloyd pulled out more papers, our actual returns. The ones that I signed, different numbers, different claims, a whole separate financial life I knew nothing about. Your husband's been filing 2 sets of returns. One with you, one with Miss Thorne. Thorne? Her last name was Thorne, not Novick. Of course it was. Of course she wasn't actually married to my husband, except to the IRS she was. My hands were shaking and I spilled water on the Halloween mug and watched it pool on the table. October was 5 months away. Would we even be together by Halloween? Would the children still get to go trick-or-treating? Why was I thinking about Halloween? Why are you telling me this? I asked. And that's when Lloyd's whole demeanor changed. He leaned back, rubbed his face like he was annoyed, and suddenly looked less like an IRS agent and more like some exhausted guy. Because Angelica Thorne is my ex-wife, and she's done this before. The room felt like it was tilting. I grabbed the edge of the table. What do you mean, done this before? He pulled out another section of the folder. It was photos, it was documents, a whole serial fraudster portfolio. Angelica with 6 different men. Tax returns with different names, the same scam over and over. Oh, she targets married men in financial professions. Lloyd explained with his voice sounding bitter, personal, and he said, becomes the work wife, sympathetic ear during busy season, suggest ways to maximize their returns, and always knows someone who can help with the paperwork. 5 men. Before Larry, 5. All married, all with children, all now dealing with IRS investigations, fraud charges, and destroying marriages. Your husband? He knew he was number 6. The Cheez-Its I've eaten earlier were starting to come back up, and I ran to the bathroom, barely made it, and knelt there on the floor thinking about how I needed to clean the baseboard, thinking about anything except what I just heard. When I came back, Lloyd was still there, still sitting at my table with this horrible folder full of evidence that my life was a lie. I said, how? How did he know? Lloyd pulled out text messages and screenshots and emails, a whole digital trail of my husband knowingly entering into tax fraud with a serial scammer because, and this is the best part that broke me, because he thought he was different. He thought he was special and he thought she actually loved him. There were messages where she told him about the others, warned him even, and she said, I've done this before. But with you it's different, with you it feels real, and that idiot ate it up. He knew that she would destroy 5 other marriages, committed tax fraud with 5 different men, and he still thought that he was the exception, huh? The main character in her redemption story. The one who would finally make an honest woman out of the tax fraud work wife. I laughed. I don't even know why, nothing's funny. Sitting there at my kitchen table with an IRS agent, my marriage in ruins, probably facing financial devastation, and I laughed until I couldn't breathe. He thought he was special. He saw the pattern and thought that he would be different. Lloyd, he nodded. He's probably seen this exact reaction before, the hysteria of realizing you married someone who's watched 5 people jump off a cliff and think, well, when I jump, I'll probably fly. The kid came home from school then, perfect timing. Joel needed help with algebra. Mary wanted to show me a cool rock that she found shaped like an arrow. And, well, normal kid stuff, while an IRS criminal investigator sat at our kitchen table with evidence that Daddy was a moron. I sent them upstairs, tablets and Uncrustables, of course, Mom of the Year. What happens now? He explained the process, the investigation, the charges, the financial audit, the very real possibility that Larry is going to go to jail. Angelica, too, though she'd apparently been smart enough to leave enough legal distance to claim she was just helping with the paperwork. So, she picks a man who thinks that they're smarter than they are, Lloyd said. Men who'll take the fall because they can't admit that they got played. He would know. He's been married to her for 4 years, had a daughter with her, and spent 3 years tracking her after she disappeared with their kid and started this whole scam. Where's your daughter now? I asked. He said with her maternal grandparent, because Angelica doesn't, and she doesn't actually want the kids. She just wants the tax benefits. Oh, my kids. She even claimed them on her tax for the benefits, and Joel, who still sleeps with a stuffed elephant, Mary, who's afraid of butterflies but pretends she's not. Lloyd left me with copies of everything. His card, a victim advocate number, and resources for spouses of fraud perpetrators, a whole packet of your life is messed up literature. I waited until the kids were asleep to confront Larry. He came through the door at 10:47 at night. I know because I was watching the microwave clock, picking at a piece of cold pizza, wondering if this was the last time he would use his key. "Oh, hey, babe. Sorry I'm late. Angelica. Needed help with the Johnson account." Angelica. He just said her name like it was nothing, like she had not destroyed us, like he had not chosen her financial fraud scheme over his actual family. So I slid the paper across the table, watched his face change as he recognized what they were, and he said, "Marissa, I can explain." But he couldn't. Not really. I mean, he tried. He sat there in his wrinkled dress shirt, spinning the story about how it started small, just one return, just to help her out. And she had debt from her divorce from Lloyd, who she'd also messed up over. She knew the tax code better than anyone. It wasn't supposed to be a big deal. "You knew that she's done this before. You knew about the other men." "Oh, she told me about them, yeah, but with us it was different, honey." "Different how, Larry? Different like how you were actually committing real tax fraud together in real time. Different like how you were using our children for her scam." "Oh, I never thought. I didn't think it would go this far." "You filed as married to another woman." Honey, it was for deductions, paperwork, It doesn't mean anything." I threw the pizza at him. Not my proudest moment. It hit him in the chest, left a grease stain on his shirt and a pepperoni in his eye. I said, "Get out." "Oh, Marissa, please, the kids." "Oh, the kids you left, to another woman to claim on her taxes. Those kids, huh? Get the hell out." He left. He packed a bag like he practiced, a spend-a-night bag like he had already been ready to leave this whole time. I found out later he went straight to her apartment. The Riverside address from the tax return. Lloyd had warned me that he would. He said they always run to her when it falls apart. She's good at playing savior. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers and forensic accountants and trying to explain to my children why Daddy wasn't coming home without saying because he committed tax fraud felony with his work girlfriend. Angelica one day tried to contact me. A Facebook message at 3 a.m. It read, "I know you hate me, but you need to understand he pursued me. I tried to keep it professional. Also, the car was legitimately used for business purposes, so the deduction was actually legal. Best of luck to you and the children." The audacity. Larry got arrested 2 months later. He made bail the same day, and his lawyer, well, not Angelica, she'd disappeared by then, said that he was looking at about 2 years if convicted, could be up to 5 with a very stiff judge. Probably less, though, with a plea deal. My lawyer said I could probably avoid all the charges since I hadn't even known about it. Probably? Maybe? Depends on the investigation? The kids know something's wrong, and Joel asked if we were getting divorced, and I said yes. He asked if it was his fault. I said, "No, honey, Daddy just made a bad choice." He asked if the bad choices were about money or about another woman, and I said both. Mary, she's been having more meltdowns. Her therapist says it's normal given the upheaval. Normal. Nothing about this is normal, lady. Normal kids don't have fathers who commit tax fraud with their work wife, who's actually a serial scammer, who's done this to 5 other families. Well, Lloyd, he checks in sometimes, of course he does. We have this weird bond now. The ex-spouse of a con artist club. He told me Angelica's probably already working on number 7. Probably another accountant, he said during our last call. Maybe H&R Block this time. She likes to switch it up. I've been going through our finances with forensic accountants, trying to figure out what's real and what's fraud, and turns out Larry had open credit cards I didn't know about, investment accounts, a whole shadow financial life built on lies, and of course the help from TurboTax. A thank you card. The same one still on my fridge. I can't bring myself to throw it away. Evidence, maybe. Or just a reminder that I was the kind of wife who would smile at her husband's work wife, who'd sent Christmas cookies, who would thank her for keeping him company during late nights. Thank you for sharing him. Man, I didn't share him. She stole him. Or maybe he gave himself away like a, donation. Or maybe... and this is the thought that keeps me up at night. Maybe he was never really mine to begin with. It's 4 o'clock in the morning now. How time goes by. The coffee's cold, the Cheez-Its are gone, and I have a meeting with IRS tomorrow. Well, I should say today. It's in 5 hours from now. I keep thinking about what Lloyd said, how she picks men who thinks that they're smarter than they are. Men who'll see the pattern and think they're the exception. Larry knew, of course he knew, she was a scammer, and he still thought their love was real, still thought he was different from the others, and still thought that he could be the one to change her. Now he's facing federal charges, and she's probably in another state, working at another firm, finding number 7, and maybe she's already sending his wife a thank you card. Maybe she's already claiming his children on her taxes, and you know the worst part? The absolute part that rips me to pieces is I found their text messages. The ones where she promised him she would never have done the actual fraud with the others. Just light bookkeeping. With him it was different. With him she wanted to build something real, and you know what? He believed her. Even after she told him about the others, even after she admitted to destroying 5 marriages, he still thought he was the man. "Oh, you're not like them," she wrote. "You actually understand me. We're building something different, something real. They thought committing federal crimes together was real, and sometimes I just lay in my bed. I imagine them doing our taxes, sitting at our kitchen table, not our kitchen table, her kitchen table, with their forms and receipts and laptops. Did they laugh about it? Did they feel guilty when they claimed the children? When they listed my vehicle? Or was it just business is business, just numbers on a screen? Did he think about me at all, about us? Or was I just an inconvenient wife he had to file separately with to keep up appearances? The investigator found hotel receipts. Nothing like, I don't think they were hooking up. Apparently just them sitting in a hotel room during tax season committing fraud together using their Wi-Fi. The most boring affair in history. Death by 1,000 W-2s, I call it. My mother keeps asking what happened, and I told her Larry had an affair. It's easier than explaining he fell in love with a serial tax fraud con artist who convinced him that they were Bonnie and Clyde, but for itemized deductions, is this real life? I never liked him, she says. But she did. Everyone liked Larry. He was stable, responsible, good with money. Larry the Carry. So good with money that he committed tax fraud for a woman who'd already done it 5 times before. The sun's coming up now. I can hear birds, normal birds, in the morning living their normal lives, not thinking about IRS investigations or shadow wives or whether daddy's going to prison. I should sleep. I should go take a cold shower. I should do something other than sit here typing this out like it makes sense if I just find the right words. But there's no words for this, no way to explain how it feels to realize your husband looked at a pattern of destruction and thought, yeah, I'm different. No way to explain the way the thank you card started it all. The word wife who wasn't just a work wife, the marriage that was real to me and the performance arts to him. Angelica's out there somewhere, probably at another accounting firm, probably telling another married man he's special and different, not like others. And somewhere, another woman is going to get a thank you card. Baby blue, with the little cartoon clouds, thanking her for sharing her husband during tax season. She's probably thinking it's sweet. She'll probably just put it on her little refrigerator. I wonder if she'll use the same card design for number 7, if there's a bulk discount at CVS for destroying marriages. She is a repeat buyer. Joel found me crying over the tax returns last week, just sitting here surrounded by papers trying to understand how somebody could claim children that weren't theirs. How somebody could list Joel Novak and Mary Novak like they were just numbers. Not my baby who was born 2 weeks early. My kids who still ask me to check for monsters. And, well, he said, Mom, are you okay? Why do you say that, baby? I'm not okay. Because Daddy fell in love with a woman who collects marriages like Pokemon cards. Just tired, sweetie, just tired is what I really told him. He made me a hot chocolate with little marshmallows and sat with me while I pretend to drink it. Told me about his science project on butterflies. Normal kid stuff while his whole world burns down around him and he doesn't even know. The forensic accountant found more. There's always more, isn't there? Never less, never sorry, this was a mistake. This didn't happen. Turns out Larry had been funneling money to Angelica for years. Consulting fees, tax expertise, except the consulting was just fraud. Just teaching him how to lie better, how to hide assets, how to live a double life, that the IRS can't catch you. $27,000, that's what he paid her for advice on how to destroy a family. I did the math. That's Mary's therapy for 3 years. That's Joel's braces 3 times over and the vacation we never took because money's tight this year, babe. Money wasn't tight, it was going to her. Lloyd says this is typical. The men always pay. They think they're buying expertise, but they're really just buying the fantasy that someone finds them special enough to commit a crime with. She makes them feel smart, like they're beating the system together. Bonnie and Clyde. But Bonnie always walks away and Clyde always goes to prison, I said. Larry's lawyer called yesterday. Wants to discuss a plea deal. Wants me to write a character letter to the judge, talk about what a good father he is, how this was out of character. A momentary lapse in judgment. 3 years is not momentary. 78 tax returns is not a lapse, it's a commitment. But I might do it for the kids, so they don't have to visit Daddy in federal prison. So they can pretend this was all just a bad dream where Daddy made a mistake with numbers. You know, kids can believe anything if you frame it right. Daddy made a mistake, Daddy trusted the wrong person, Daddy thought was special. Gosh, he really thought he was special. I found his journal. Didn't even know he kept one. It was hidden in his home office behind the tax law books that he pretended to read. Pages and pages about her, about how she understood him, how she saw his potential, how their minds worked in perfect synchronization. I'm starting to think this isn't just about taxes. He was in love with her. And I quote, "She sees the tax code like I see music. Beautiful, mathematical, pure." He compared tax fraud to his little weekend guitar. There was an entry from the day that she told him about the others. A explains about the men before me. My heart broke. They used her expertise and abandoned her when things got complicated, but we're different. What we have transcends the numbers, Angelica. Transcends the numbers, they were literally about the numbers. That's what tax fraud ID is, idiot. Another entry was from late last year. Oh, M doesn't understand the pressure I'm under, the complexity of modern finance. A gets it, Angelica. When we work together, it's like dancing. She leads and I follow, and somehow we create something beautiful. The worst entry was from 3 weeks ago, right before everything fell apart. I think M might suspect something, need to be more careful. Angelica says we should consider relocating after this tax season. Start fresh. Maybe I could finally leave her. Maybe we can file jointly for real. He was going to leave us. Run away with his tax fraud soulmate and live happily ever after in QuickBook therapy. I showed Lloyd the journal. He just nodded, said his ex had similar entries from others, all convinced that they were the one, ready to take their families and leave, all thinking they were writing a love story when they were documenting evidence, and I asked him, did any of them actually leave? Oh, number 3 did, left his wife and kids, moved to Portland with her. She was gone within a month and he's still serving his sentence. Number 3. I looked him up later. His name was Dexter Whitfield. 43 years old, 5 years is what he got for tax fraud. Wife remarried and kids called the new guy dad within a year. Is that our future? Is that what I'm typing toward? Larry tried to come by last Thursday. Showed up at Mary's therapy appointment. Just sitting in the waiting room like he belonged there, like he had not claimed our daughter as a dependent on fraudulent tax returns with another woman, and he said we need to talk. The hell we do. Marissa, please, I made a mistake. You made 78 mistakes repeatedly over 3 years, dude. The receptionist was pretending not to listen, but I know she was eavesdropping. Another mom was there with her kids, suddenly very interested in her phone. I love you. I love you. We can fix this. You loved her tax expertise more. Well, he left. Mary never saw him. Small mercy, I guess. The apartment in Riverside, it's empty now. Angelica cleared out 2 days after Larry was arrested. Lloyd says that's her pattern. Stay just long enough to establish residency for tax purposes, then disappear when it falls apart. The landlord found some of her stuff. It was a tax book, motivational posters about building your dreams, a vision board with pictures of tropical beaches and the word number 10 written in a gold marker. Number 10, she's already planning number 10? Was my husband at least special amongst the 6? I asked Lloyd once, did he last longer? Did she work harder to con him? He thought about it, really considered it, all 5 of the men. Then he shook his head. They all last about 3 years. That's the sweet spot, long enough to establish patterns for the IRS and short enough to get out before it implodes. So no, Larry wasn't special at all. He wasn't different. Was not the expectations at all. He was no different. He was just another mark who thought he was the marksman. I've been having dreams where I'm made of numbers, where my skin is just tax forms and receipts. Or I open my mouth and 1099s fall out. I wake up calculating, adding up all the lies and subtracting what I thought was real. The kids' teachers know something's wrong. They've been extra nice, extra patient, and Joel's math teacher sent home a note saying he seems distracted. Oh yeah? Well, his dad's facing federal charges for thinking he was too smart to get caught. Of course he's distracted, Mr. Larryson. We're probably going to lose the house. The lawyer says even if I avoid charges, the fines and back taxes will absolutely destroy us. Everything we built, 18 years of marriage reduced to liability. I've been looking at apartments, small ones, the kind with thin walls where you can hear your neighbors fighting, the kind of place where kids learn to whisper. It'll be an adventure, I told them, like camping, but inside. They're not buying it. Kids know when you're lying, unlike their father, apparently, who could not recognize a con artist who told him that she was a con artist. Sometimes I drive by his office. His old office, where she still worked until she vanished, where they'd spend late nights crunching numbers, and where I would bring him dinner and she would smile and wave. The building looks so normal, just glass and steel and lies. His coworkers have been reaching out, leaving me messages. They said we had no idea. She seems so nice and helpful. If you need anything. Well, what I need is a time machine. To go back to that day with the thank you card and throw it in the trash where it belonged. To see the warning signs, to notice that my husband was falling in love with a felony tax fraud artist. But I didn't. I stuck it on the fridge with a taco magnet and made dinner and believed that after tax season everything would be okay. Now it's June. Tax season is over and nothing is okay. Lloyd's moving on with the case, says he's finally having enough evidence to prosecute her properly. Says number 7, whoever he is, might be the last. But we both know better. Women like Angelica don't stop. They just find new zip codes, new firms, new men who think they're smart enough to be different. Somewhere right now, she's probably sitting at someone's kitchen table, explaining how the other men didn't understand her vision. How they were greedy and selfish, but not like him. He's different, he's special. And somewhere some idiot is believing it. Some wife is at home, right this second, making egg noodle casserole, trusting that late nights at the office are just late nights at the office. And some kids are doing homework, not knowing their father is about to implode their lives for a woman who collects families like tax deductions. The sun's coming up fully now. I can hear Mary stirring upstairs. She'll want pancakes. Her favorite is blueberry. We don't have mixture. We don't have a lot of things anymore. But we do have each other. Me and the 2 kids who didn't ask for a father, who thought that he could outrun a pattern, who looked at 5, destroyed marriages and thought, yeah, but mine will be different. It wasn't different. It never is. The thank you card is still on my fridge. I look at it every morning. It's a reminder that sometimes people tell you exactly who they are. And sometimes the person you trust most will believe them anyways. Thank you for sharing him. Well, you know what? You're welcome, Angelica. He was never really mine anyways. You homewrecker. What an insane story. OP even said herself, I'm so mad I missed all these red flags. Finally, I find a comment that a lot of people somewhat agree with, and it's not an over-the-top comment against OP. Here it is. It actually gives decent advice. It's really long, so I'm going to condense it down. It says, not the a-hole. But honey, I need to give you advice. You need to go full scorched earth here. I'm talking Sherman's march to the sea level of destruction. Listen, I've been where you're at. Not the tax fraud part. I mean, what the actual hell? But the betrayal part. My ex did not commit federal crimes with his side piece, but he did drain our 401k for his investment crypto opportunity with, her, spoiler alert, it didn't work. Number one, you need to hire a forensic accountant and a PI. Not just a forensic accountant, you want the ones who make IRS agents cry. The one who finds money in the couch cushions, offshore accounts, that's $27,000 that he gave her. That's the tip of the iceberg, I guarantee it. Number two, do not write any character letter. Man, forget them kids' feelings. I'm sorry, but hear me out. You know what's worse than visiting daddy in federal prison? Having a daddy who thinks consequences don't apply to him. Let him rot. Your kids need to see that actions have consequences even for daddy, especially for daddy. Number three, contact the other 5 wives. I'm dead serious. Start a support group, sue her and civil court together. Class action. Yeah, lawsuit. She destroyed 6 families. Make her pay 6 times over. Number 4, write a book. Sell the movie rights. Why not try? I'm not joking. Quote, my husband's work wife was a serial tax fraudster. It would be a Netflix goldmine. Use the money to buy a better house than the one you're losing. Living well is the best revenge. Yeah, I know it's probably not going to work out with a Netflix series, but try it anyways. Number 5, find out where she's working now and warn them. Put up flyers, create a website, Meredith, taxfraud.com, or whatever. Make her Googleable. Ruin her next con before it starts. And finally, number 6, stop being so darn nice. You're worried about apartments with these thin walls. Okay, we get it. Girl, he should be worried about prison walls. Stop protecting him from consequences and stop softening this for the children. They need to know daddy is a criminal who chose crime over family. This guy is not good. And before you guys come at me for replies, okay, I'm suggesting the nuclear option. I get it. You know why? Because this man looked at 5 destroyed families and says, nah, I'm different. I'm special. That's not just stupid. That's pathological. That's a level of narcissism that doesn't get fixed with therapy and apologies and OP. I have to say, you seem lovely. Too lovely. You're eating stale Cheez-Its at 2 a.m. and blaming yourself for not seeing the signs. Meanwhile, this man's probably still thinking he's the victim here. Still thinking Meredith really loved him and still thinking he's special. Guys, I didn't condense the comment. I had to read the whole thing. I agree with most of what the commenter said, but do you think that OP should go this nuclear route? Let me know in the comment section down below. If it was up to me, I'm going nuclear, baby. Drop your comments. Let's talk about it, guys. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead, subscribe for daily videos. All the stories on my channel are narrated by me and always will be. Make sure you're subscribed down below. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. And of course, remember one thing. It's cool to be kind. See ya.